Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Hello and welcome to season 2 of the Attacking Football podcast. We are live for a very special episode and we brought a very special guest on with us. Alice, welcome back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Busy day of Manchester United news, which I'm sure we'll be discussing.
Do you know what? I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Also joining us, Dylan, welcome back for season 2, mate. How you feeling?
I'm absolutely flying. I'm flying and I'm delighted to be back as well.
We need to make sure this is like season 2 of Lost, not season 2 of Heroes. You know what I mean? We've got to make this one big. Okay. Well, firstly, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining the live. Appreciate it. We do have our resident Liverpool fan in the studio, Scott. He's producing tonight. So shout out Scott. He's going to be in the chat. If you want to chat, you need to be a subscriber though. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. So Alice, I know you were live about an hour ago. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but Rashford news from Fabrizio. His brothers had talks with Deco. They're looking to find a solution. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt that Rashford was waiting for Barcelona. He was linked to them a few years ago when he was in his best period of form, and I think Barcelona's always had that interest. And I think if he wasn't going to go to Milan, which is obviously not the case now, I was like, well, it's probably because he's waiting for Barcelona. I mean, he's clearly not wanted by Ruben Amorim. You can see by the way Amorim talks about him. He's still not in the squad despite the lack of goals. So it's clear that he's going. And I think it is Barcelona trying to get Ansu Fati or someone out the door to bring Rashford in. And I think it's one of those that maybe just gets done on deadline day. You know what Man United are like.
Yeah, and I don't think Barcelona necessarily have the funds to do the deal right now. There's a bit of movement from them that's needed to make a deal go through, but who's realistically leaving that Barcelona squad? So they're waiting on Ansu Fati to leave. Who else needs to go?
Really no.
Eric
Garcia is another one.
Go.
He might be going to see Fabregas in Como. But do they have the money to spend? Rashford's wages are what, $350 a week? Can they cover that? Are we going to end up footing the bill here?
I think it's one of those where we'll probably be mugged off and pay about half of his wages for him to go on loan, which is kind of silly when we need goals. For me, it's one of those where if we loan him out, they've got to pay all the wages for me. We can't be mugged off, but we'll be mugged off. It's Man United.
I mean, that should have been the case with Anthony as well. I can't believe we've been left holding less than 50% of his wages being paid by Betis. That's boggled me completely.
Yeah, I think though is that I feel like what Anthony they're trying to raise is sell value for next summer. I think Betis were the only club that would have taken him on the terms they would have taken him on now. To kind of raise his sell value for next summer and try and get him away permanently, probably at that stage.
Yeah. No, I get it. But look, if one way or another, Rashford leaves in January, whether it be Barcelona, I think Dortmund are interested. AC Milan had a straight choice between Rashford and Walker. They've ended up going with Walker. West Ham have shown some interest. He leaves at a time when Manchester United are desperate for goals. He's a man with 143 goals for the club. Where are those goals coming from, Alice? When Rashford does leave, where are we looking?
I mean, we have to get a new signing, surely. We've been linked to that Dorgles guy, but that's not got to go, and it's got to be Cunha and Buemo. It's got to be someone that can get goal contributions in the Premier League that suits Amorim's system, because obviously Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony wingers, we're now playing with 10s. And Buemo's more suited to 10 role. Cunha's more suited to the 10 role. You could maybe go for a Semenyo because he could offer it a wing back. But for me, if Dorgu's coming in as the wing back, we've got to get in a left-sided 10 to replace Rashford 100%. And for me, it's got to be Matheus Cunha, because there's no point letting Rashford go if we're not going to replace him. I know that he sort of has to go because he's fallen out of Ruben Amorim and whatever's gone on behind the scenes. But we're not scoring goals. Whether people like Rashford or not, he's better than Garnacho and Anthony, in my opinion. He's more of a goal threat, and we could have done with him in the last game at left 10.
Yeah, I mean, we could just do what Eric Ten Hag did and play Mazraoui at 10. Would that work?
Wasn't a bad show.
Oh, Dylan, you'll defend that man until the day you die. I know you will. But okay, fine. So we're missing goals. Rashford might be on the move. We don't really have anybody to play in that 10 apart from maybe. Is there a case of Dorgu comes in and plays right wing back, Ahmad moves into the 10, and Bruno moves into the left 10?
I think that's what it is, because I think people don't realize like how big of a signing left wing back would be, because also he uses left-footed right wing backs at Sporting.
Yeah.
So having someone like Dorgu come in, that's left wing back or right wing back unlocked, and that instantly just means, well, then Ahmad's in the 10, Bruno maybe the other 10 will pivot, and I don't know what it is, but it instantly elevates our just all-round game, just having a wing back in, because that's so crucial for Amorim's system. So I think a wing back in itself changes the system a lot, because I think Mazraoui's best is right centre back, not right wing back in the system.
I agree completely. Yeah.
Or freedom for that. Ahmad is 100%. Our best right wing back and best 10, but you need Ahmad in the 10 role, because him and Bruno are the only players doing anything in the final third.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And I think we're struggling at the moment with that right centre back as well. I think De Ligt has had a really tough time. Maguire's looked really solid in the central centre back role. Yoro struggled. De Ligt struggled. Mazraoui's the only one that's really kind of done well there. Is right centre back an area we should be looking at?
Yes, definitely one to consider. I think because if you look at it, Yoro is a central centre back. If you look at the profile of Yoro, so he's a central centre back. Maguire's a central centre back. De Ligt is also probably a central centre back. And I think he would be fine at right centre back if we had a pacey central centre back or left centre back, but we don't have that pace. I look at it, I think Mazraoui is our best right centre back. And even at left centre back, Leach has not been quite at his best. Like Luke Shaw probably would fit that role better. We need to get wide defenders. That's definitely, but I would prioritise the left over the right just due to injuries and everything that's happened. I think Mazraoui right centre back, and I think Yoro can develop and adapt to do a job there. I think, the game versus Southampton was he had probably the toughest job that game. But I would look at the left centre back, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with that.
Yeah,
I think I understand the kind of the overall look of Brantway has went down due to his injuries and all in recent months, but I'd still be looking at probably Brantway as someone we should bring in, raise the physical profile of the back three, or Luke Caba off RB Leipzig as well as someone I really think is a top player. I know the club looked at him before. He's a lot of money though. Do we have the money? We don't have the money right now to do it, obviously, but maybe in the summer we could look for that. But I think the defence should be all right for now. I think that's probably the least of the kind of additions we should make.
Where's your focus then, Dill? What are you focusing on?
The same as Alice. I think Cooney is a must, really. I really do think Cooney is a must.
He's really unsettled at the moment as well after the manager's comments against... Was it against Chelsea? No, the game before, wasn't it?
Was it the game before? No, it was Chelsea. I think he went straight down the tunnel, I'm nearly sure.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And he still hasn't signed that contract.
Yeah, a player like him, to just give us that option on the left hand side and the three man up front, it's just, I think it's a must. Or in Bohemo, all the names Alice said, I think are priorities outside of a left wing back. And if we don't get one of them before the end of January, I think we're going to really struggle in the coming months. Not that we already aren't.
Yeah, no, I agree. An area that we're not struggling with is wingers, and we're actually looking to offload another one in Alejandro Garnacho. Talks with Napoli. He's spoken directly with Conte. His agent was at the Chelsea game last night. Alice, do you think Garnacho should be leaving?
I've got really mixed thoughts on this, because if the player wants to go and Ruben Amorim doesn't see him as a fit for the system and the replacement is there in January, then fair enough. If Garnacho wants to go to Napoli, Ruben Amorim said, I don't want him, and we know if we sell Garnacho, we're going to get Cunha, fair enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't like the fact that a young kid's had a few poor months, and he's in a very unstable environment. And as soon as it goes wrong, just for a couple of months, we're like, we're going to cash in on him. Because I think he's still got room to adapt and maybe potentially fit Ruben Amorim's system. There's obviously a very good and talented player there. His potential's at the top. And he's someone that we could sell him for 60 million and we could be selling in 3 years' time. Why did we sell him for 60 million? He could be a 100 million player. But I think for me, if if selling him means we get Cunha, and Amorim thinks that that would be the better option, then we've got to back the manager, because obviously I don't know about Garnacho being best fit for Amorim's system, but it's one of those where I'd rather us wait until the summer to make a decision on Garnacho, just to see what he does between now and the summer before writing him off as a sort of player.
Yeah. I mean, I tuned into your live stream earlier on, and you read out a tweet that I think perfectly encapsulates my thoughts on the Garnacho situation. So it was Paddy. It was odds on FPL. When Garnacho leaves United, it'll feel like the ultimate sliding doors moment, a sign of how far we've fallen. When was the last time we sold someone with world-class potential before they became world-class for us? United used to make stars. Now we're just a stepping stone for players who don't want to spend their prime watching us fight for 7th place. I think the key part is that last part there. Is this a case of we have truly, genuinely world-class prospects at the club with Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, who are potentially looking to move because they're thinking, actually, I want to go and win things in my career, and I don't think United is the place to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's worrying, to be honest. I think sometimes with the media, they obviously have that sort of element of scaremongering. When we got the report that Mainoo and Garnacho up for sale, it's always going to be over dramatic by the media and the scaremongering. But I think, particularly Garnacho, if he knows the club are open to offers, he's not playing his best and he's got interest in him, you have to say fair enough. You can't blame Garnacho for looking out there. If he's Antonio Conte's dream signing, things are going wrong at United with how Ineos have come in and where we're at, and he's obviously been on the bench a lot more. You can't fully blame Garnacho for looking at it, but it is that worry, because we've had rebuild after rebuild after rebuild, and now I think we're at the worst ever 13th. Like, we really need to get back on track, because even if we're like 6th place, at least there's something there for the players to say, oh, next season we can push for top 4. If we're finishing 13th, we're saying next season we can push for top 6. Well, we don't want to push for top 6. We're Man United. So I think there's that worry with the young players. But like, we got Euro in the summer over Madrid, and we had that pull because Ineos are coming and things are changing. And we just sort of got to hope that in 2025, Ineos get recruitment spot on, and we'll see some massive progress under Ruben Amorim next year, just with 4 or 5 new additions. That's what we've got to hope. And I think if we see that progress, potentially it's fine. But I think because there's no progress and it looks a mess at the moment, I think the media will over drama it. But players will be looking, because it's, as sort of touched upon, a completely different system to Erik ten Hag. Wing backs, not full backs, not wingers anymore. So I can understand why those kind of players maybe are looking out.
Yeah. Dill, I mean, if I was Lenny Yoro, for example, I would be sat at home texting my agent going, I didn't fucking sign up for this. I was sold the dream. Can you have a chat with Real and see if they're still interested? I'll go there for free. Is that where your head would be at the moment?
Yeah. As Amorim said the other day, like, it is the worst Manchester United team of all time. Well, definitely in my lifetime. I understand we were relegated in a previous.
We still might be.
We say, as you said, we still could be, and it's. I know we're only 10 points off relegation at the moment, but in regards to the Garnacho thing, I think it's okay, as we spoke about earlier on, and as Paddy kind of alluded to in his article, it's okay for Garnacho to go if you're going to stick to Amorim's system, and if Ineos have bought into the fact that this is the way forward for the next couple of years. If we sell Garnacho now, and we sack Amorim next season, and Garnacho's ripping it up in Napoli, and we've went back to a 4-3-3 system, which would have made a player like Garnacho excel, well, then it's just absolutely ridiculous. And by the way the reports are going, it looks as if we could be one of the ones forcing him out as opposed to the other way around. And it also looks to be that way with Rashford, that we're forcing Rashford out as opposed to it being the other way around. Like, Euro would have signed for Madrid this summer. Hands down, he would have signed for Madrid this summer if we hadn't have been clever. And what Ineos done in the summer was clever. They basically pulled Madrid's bluff. Madrid thought to get him for 20 million late on in the window, as they always do. It's Real Madrid. They say we're the biggest club in the world. They probably are. United called their bluff, managed to get Euro in, and he must have been thinking, as you say, look, this is Manchester United. Won the FA Cup last season. Okay, we finished 8th. We can push forward to this season. It's going to be a nice little project. Then the manager you signed for gets sacked. Now you're playing in a back 3. His head must be all over the place. It probably suits De Ligt. Definitely doesn't suit Xerxes. And fair play to Xerxes. He said he wants to stay. He's determined to stay at the club. definitely doesn't suit him. The way we play does not suit him whatsoever.
No.
So it's a complete unadulterated mess. I don't know how Amorim sorts it. I believe he can. Definitely believe he can, but there is a case to say that he's been thrown to the wolves, as well as the players in the summer that have been signed have been thrown to the wolves. And I don't know. Maybe we should be relegated. I probably wouldn't mind at this stage. The championship sounds nice for a couple of seasons, to be honest.
Well, I'm pretty sure, was it Omar Barada said that we'd win the league by 2028? He didn't say which league, did he? He just said the league.
Yeah, could be the Conference League.
Could be the Conference League. There's a gentleman in the chat, Alice Connor's Dark Connor, who said Manchester United have lowered their asking price for Alejandro Garnacho to 75 million euros, which is 55 plus 10 or 60 plus 5 coming from Di Marzio.
Yeah, I mean, I think United, because it's January window, they'll be wanting at least 65 million. There's not many replacements out there. We don't know if we can get Cunha or not, because apparently Arsenal have agreed terms, but I don't know if that's true or not. There's competition. We're also a mess right now. Players like who would have, done anything to come to United in the summer, like Cunha, probably, do I want to come to United now? It's that sort of situation as well. It's a big mess. We're probably the least attractive we've been. In the summer, we had that attraction because we could sell the Ineos have come in. This is the new thing. But I do worry about Ineos having a lack of a plan. The way that Dan Ashworth came in was sacked, and then we recruit for Ten Hag, as Dylan touched upon, and now we've got a manager that plays completely different football, which is why Dan Ashworth was reluctant about it. So then all the players that we just signed were ready to write off this and that, and I think it's just elements of concern at United right now in terms of players coming in as well and who we can get.
Yeah, I mean, the where Man United pull is diminishing with every passing result. Every time we get turned over 3-1 at home by Brighton, players are looking at our club and going, you see an agent ring and you just look at your phone and put, nah, I'm not going to answer that. But sticking with Garnacho, sticking with Napoli, Osimhen. Now, he is desperate for a move out of Napoli. He's on loan at the moment because he just wanted out of the club and he went anywhere he could possibly go that wasn't Naples. Is there a conversation to be had around a swap with Garnacho? Or would that be a better fit for the squad as it stands at the moment?
Ooh, it's a difficult one because I do really like Osimhen, and I think obviously he improves us. We need that firepower and attack. But I'd rather get the money for Garnacho because one, you get the PSR, I think benefits of it more. And two, I think for me, I just think left 10 is more important than striker, which may be an unpopular opinion, but Xerxes' good games have come as striker, and he doesn't suit the system, but he's a better striker. Højlund's not been great. Look, he is lacking service, but he needs to do more, of course. But I think Victor Osimhen comes in, and if we're not getting the ball up to him, what's the point? I think at least the left 10 would bring a bit more creativity for the striker. So I would look to. I'm open to Osimhen coming in. I'm not going to say no. He's a really good player. But then we have three players whose best role was striker, whereas Rashford and Garnacho, who could be leaving, are the left 10. So I think I would prioritise left 10.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, just another comment from the chat. 40-year-old Virgil said, United are the type of club to sell Garnacho for 60 million, then buy him back in 2 years' time for 100. I mean, there are talks of inserting a buyback clause into any deal that we do, which it does really, really remind me of the Pogba issues many years ago.
And Alvaro.
Okay. And Alvaro, yeah. Alvaro is one I would do. He's a deal I would do.
From what I've been told, there's nothing concrete even regards to him at the moment, which is strange. Like, it's such. I don't think, not that I don't think he's better than Dorgu. I actually do think Dorgu is probably a better fit for the system. Because as we discussed in the attacking football chat earlier on, he's played everywhere, right wing, left wing, and wherever he wants. So I think Amorim likes versatile players. And has Alvaro ever played as a left wing back fully for a continued period of games? Probably not. I think Dorgu was quicker as well, probably more physically imposing than Alvaro as well. But even the fact that we sold Alvaro last season when we had no left backs, still
Malacia was on hiatus. Luke Shaw's hamstrings are made of papier-mâché, and we let the only fit left back at the club go. But okay. Just a couple of polls that we're running in the chat at the moment. 59% say they wouldn't sell Garnacho, and at the moment 70% are saying they would swap Garnacho with Osimhen. So 59% wouldn't let him go, and then 70% would let him go if it was a swap deal for Osman. I mean, 10 out of 10, chat. Well done. Okay. Look, doom and gloom aside, there are some deals that are looking like they could be done in January. Dorgu, we touched on, is one of them. I will be completely honest and say I've never watched the boy play. I've seen, I think, a 3-minute compilation on Twitter. That's it. I know nothing about him. He didn't look great in it, I'll be honest.
Well, I've watched him for about 15 minutes, and I can confirm he is the best player to ever play football. So we do have that.
Okay.
But he caught my eye when I watched him play a game last season. And I just think there's elements of him I like. He's definitely raw. Decision making, when to pass, when to dribble, when to carry. It's definitely raw, but he's someone that has that eagerness and drive to get forward, which I think is what Ruben Amorim will like. And I just think physically getting up and down out wide is sort of what I like about him that I've seen.
Yeah.
Is raw what we need right now? Are we not in a place where if we're dipping into the market in January, we need a ready-made player who can come in and make an impact?
Yeah. Kirkes would have been my first choice just because Premier League experience has got that bit more on him. But as I said, I think you can bring Dorgu in and still get Kirkes in the summer because, again, he likes left-footed right wing-backs. And with Malacia and Shaw, we basically need 2 left wing-backs anyway. That's sort of my way of looking at it. But I would have gone for Kirkes over him.
Bill?
Did you just say, do we need raw?
Yeah, Do we not need somebody who's ready-made to go now? Because we've got our quote-unquote future players. Mainu is still developing. Everybody thinks he's the finished article. He's nowhere near it. Garnacho, if he stays, he's still really raw. His decision-making is not fantastic. He'll run headfirst into a defender and then do it again. And we have our young players, Lenny Yoro, for example. Where's the experience? Where's the game management? Where's the nous coming from?
I have always preferred SmackDown to Raw. I will say that first and foremost.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
But I do agree with you totally. I think, and again, we have this discussion quite a lot. I don't necessarily think the United team at the moment is a bad team individually. I think the gap between, as you say, raw and experience is too big. Yeah. There's nothing in the middle to fill that gap in. And the younger players don't have experienced enough players above them to learn off. And there's just this big discrepancy effectively. So I don't mind the signing of Dorgu as a raw player. I think that's okay. I think that's fine. He's a profile effectively, I wouldn't say similar to Quenda off Sporting Lisbon, but Amorim might try and recreate that dynamic. He might even play right wing back, which I actually probably do expect him to play right wing back when he signs for us. Or probably left wing back until we sign a right wing back. Because Dallo has been quite atrocious out there for a couple of games. Going forward though, in regards to the signings we make after that, I think the next forward signing we need to make needs to be above the age of 24, 25. I think he needs to be experienced. I think he actually probably needs to be Premier League experienced as well. That's something that United used to do in the past that we've moved away from completely. Premier League proven players. I know it sounds so cliche, but it matters. And if you're going to sign a raw player, sign one who's been raw and proved it in the Premier League. Like, I know we're linked with Liam Delap at the minute. He's proven it right now in the Premier League. So if you're going to sign youth, sign within the Premier League and a player that you know can play within the division. But I think Dorgu's fine as a raw player, but preferably going forward, I prefer the age of the signers to be around 24, 25, 26 with experience in Europe.
You know what? You make a really good point there, Dylan, in terms of Premier League experience. The last 3-4 transfer windows, can you think of a player that we've signed from the Premier League and not from Holland, Italy, so on and so forth?
Eriksen.
Mount, who obviously is injured, and that's unfortunate, but Eriksen, Mount, anyone else?
Let me stipulate, a player that plays.
Under 10 Hag?
Under 10 Hag, no. Eriksen, Mount. Was Weghorst with Burnley when we signed him?
He was on loan in Turkey.
No, he was on loan in Turkey.
He was at Besiktas. Yeah, he was at Besiktas. The last window I remember from United that we went fully homegrown was Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and Dan James under Ollie. Yeah.
And funnily enough, we
After-
finished second that season.
Yeah, we had a good season that season. After that, no, Bruno was Sporting. We haven't really had an English core or a Premier League core in the team for a while. Like our back
No.
four, one second. I know Luke Shaw was 10 years ago. Johnny Evans was in the Championship when we started. So yeah, that's
dear.
another good point.
We need to look in the Premier League more. I get you have to pay that little bit extra, like Bramthwaite was overpriced, but you know what you get. Like if we went out and looked at Kirkes and Cunha, you know what you're getting with Kirkes and Cunha. They're two players. And yeah, you might have to pay 40 million for Kirkes, 60 million for Cunha. Yeah, it might be 100 million, but you know what you get. You look at Liverpool, the amount of Premier League players they signed, you know, when they did well under Klopp and recently, you know, McAllister's obviously one that's really good for them. They had like Wijnaldum, Robertson, Van Dijk, Mane.
Jota.
You know, Jota. Look at Liverpool compared to us. I think people always say, oh, we should look abroad, but the Prem is different. And yeah, you have to pay a bit more, but it's definitely worth it.
Exactly.
I mean, conversely, it works the other way as well. People who are leaving this league and going to, let's say, the Italian league, Scott McTominay is a really good example of this. They go there and they absolutely flourish. Coming the other way, there's always that element of risk that they're not going to adapt to the league. They're not going to adapt to the lifestyle. They're not going to adapt to the pace, the physicality of the Premier League. It's a completely different beast. And currently, in our starting 11, let's go through it, right? So Onana came from Italy. Then you've got Dalot, who came from Portugal. You've got De Ligt, who came from Germany. Then you've got Licha, who came from Holland. And Yoro, who came from
France.
Right, and then we move into midfield. We've got Mainu, who's a homegrown player. He never had Premier League experience. Then you've got Bruno Fernandes, who came from Sporting. You've got Ugarte, who came from Paris Saint-Germain. Then you go up front. You've got on the right wing, let's say Ahmad, who came from Atalanta in Italy and did his apprenticeship in the Championship for Sunderland.
Yeah.
Then you've got on the left wing Garnacho, another homegrown player. Never played anywhere other than the Premier League, and you've got Xerxes or Højlund up front, both of which came from Italy. There aren't any Premier League proven players in our entire starting 11. Is that a problem?
Yeah, definitely. And do you know what? Dan Ashworth loves a Premier League proven player, and he got sacked. You know, he never wanted Southgate. That was all rubbish. He got sacked because he was reluctant to get a manager that plays a back five with the money that's been spent and looked more inside the Premier League. And Ineos didn't like that. And I get that it's financially better to look outside the Premier League. But when we were going and buying players from the Premier League, we're in a better position. Liverpool, you know, a lot of their key players under, obviously, Klopp was brought from the Premier League. And I just think there's so many players out there in the Premier League that you know what they get. They can deal with the physicality. Like I said that I like the profile of Xerxes, but I tweeted this back in like April before we linked to Xerxes. But because with Cunha and João Pedro, you know what you get. I would probably go for them over Xerxes, but I think with the 34 million release clause, you get it. But like we were linked to Bramthwaite, that's obviously Dan Ashford wanted to bring in. You look at Newcastle, they've done really well, and they've, you know, Lewis Hall, Livramento, young players, but Premier League players show glimpses in the league. Yes, they've gone abroad for players like Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, but that's why I'm a bit annoyed about the whole Ashworth situation still, because I think it was a bit irrational.
Yeah. You look at Arsenal as well. They went out and got Declan Rice. They went out and got Trossard. They went out and got who is it? They're
Ben White.
Ben White. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. So they've gone out and they've gone, right, these players are performing really well for their Premier League clubs. They'll be ready to slot straight into the side, and we're just not doing that.
Havertz and Jesus too.
Yep. Yeah. So all of these teams sitting at the top of the table are going out and cherry picking the players they want from Premier League clubs, and we're going, shit, we need to go bargain basement hunting in Serie A, Bundesliga, and Ligue 1. And it's just I don't think it's a clever strategy. No. But we do have some positivity coming from the club as well. Luke Shaw is coming back to training next week, which means we will have at least 10 days of a fully fit left back. That'll be nice.
I really do hope he stays fit. I really like Luke Shaw, and the criticism, like he doesn't want to be injured. You know what I mean? Like
no.
Considering what he was going through, and now Mount as well. Like Mason Mount is such a big miss for us in this system as well. If we had a fit Mason Mount, even in the left 10, or even if he dropped back, just that extra option in midfield, it's so frustrating. Injuries are so frustrating. But I really do hope Shaw stays fit because, as you said, he can play. I don't know if he can do left wing back anymore. I really don't. I don't think his body would be capable of doing it. But for the left centre back role, I think he might actually be a better fit at the moment than Lissandro because I don't think Lissandro.
Oh yeah, he's less likely to get bullied. But I mean, if we're talking 2020 Luke Shaw, we would all be here sitting here going, that is our tailor-made left wing back. He's incredible going forward. He's got a really decent head on his shoulders going backwards thanks to Jose Mourinho talking him through games. he knows exactly what he's doing. He would be perfect. But unfortunately, he is 1,000 years old now and his hamstrings are showing that.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Look, I want to take some questions from the chat as well. Scott, are you around? Lovely. Can you compile some questions from chat and we'll get some read out. In the meantime, Alice, in terms of in terms of Manchester United incoming rumours, we've just had a tweet from Fabrizio while we're on air. Manchester United have had direct meeting with Lecce to discuss Patrick Dorgu today with a mission in Milan. No agreement on the fee yet. Lecce want 40 million euros package and Man United have started from 30. Napoli are also keen on Dorgu, open to letting him stay on loan at Lecce. Is that a bargaining chip for Garnacho, this Napoli interest?
Yeah, or it's just being spread from Lecce to try and get United to pay out what they want, because we shouldn't be having to pay more than 30 million for Dorgu. He's still raw, he's still very young. But you know, United come calling. I remember reading a story, it might have been from Laurie Whitwell, that they told Rasmus Højlund, if a club comes in and bids 40 million for you, we'll let you leave in the summer. And then John Murtough came in right away and said to them, oh no, I think it was 50 million. And John Murtough came in to them and said right away to them, we won't pay more than 60 million for Højlund. And all of a sudden they went, well, let's just push for 70 because it's Man United, and that was Atalanta. Yeah. I think we're just probably being played. And I think if it's more than 30 million, as much as we need a wing back, there's other options out there. And I would say we've got options.
Del, what are you looking at in terms of insider information? You're our transfer guru. What's going on in the background in terms of Man United targets?
Obviously, I've been talking about this for a while, and I still can't say the name, and I won't. You won't pose me into doing it. But I'd pay a lot of attention to the Brazilian market for United, in particular forwards. They've been in talks with a number of forwards from Brazil for the past couple of months, and one in particular. So I'd pay attention to that. I'm not sure about January, but I know going forward it could possibly happen. Disappointing. My one disappointment about the left wing back role, I said it in my article earlier on. United had direct contacts with Bradley Locko in the summer, and then he injured his Achilles. And I genuinely think if Bradley Locko had never injured his Achilles, he'd be a United player right now. So unfortunately, he was so highly rated coming into last summer. Has every single attribute you'd want from a left wing back, and it's just kind of unfortunate that he got the injury. But I do believe that he would be a United player right now. Also, as we spoke about last week, and as the reports in Portugal have now come out, Diamande is of huge interest to United, like major interest. So one to keep an eye on in the coming months, especially due to the relationship with Amorim. But as Amorim said, I think he does have a clause or a pact with Sporting where he can't effectively rob their players in January. So we'll have to wait for the summer for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of Sporting players that I think are probably going to be very much on the radar in the summer. Diamande being one of them, Gyökeres being the other one. Okay.
Ederson.
Oh, really?
Ederson from Atlanta as well. Yeah, he's someone they like as well. So
okay,
workhorse.
Yeah, he's a very good player. 50, I think it'll be around 50 million that Atlanta want, but yeah, he's a big player that they like.
But so would that be a Ugarte replacement? Because I don't think Amorim's a massive Ugarte fan. I know they work together at Sporting, but I think he let him go from Sporting.
I'm not sure about a replacement. I think maybe depth, because we do need depth in that area. Yeah. I know the club trusts Collier, and I really like Collier, but I don't know if how many people agree. I'm not sure the main Ugarte midfield works.
No, I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't think it works. So maybe Ederson Ugarte. It's probably just another option in the midfield for the time being.
Okay. Okay, some questions from chat then. Alice, where do you realistically see United finishing this season? We're currently 13th with how many games left to play? I think it's 10.
22, I think. Or no, is it? I think it's 18, is it?
16 games left to play.
Oh,
We're in
16.
13th.
16 more to watch. No.
Yeah.
I think we'll get better because I think more time with Amorim, more time learning the system. We'll probably get knocked out Europa early. You know what we're like in Europe. More time. I assume hope we improve. But again, like it really depends on the January window. If we go out and we sign Cunha and we sign Dorgu, then I feel a lot more confident. Now look, I know we barely beat Southampton and Ahmad saved us. I know we're crap at the moment, but I'm going to say we finished 10th. You know, I think I'm not expecting much, but I think we'll get a few better results and probably finish 10th. But the competition in the Premier League is so good because Villa are a better side than us, Bournemouth a better side than us. Obviously, you've got teams like Newcastle that are a better side than us. There are some really good teams out there in the Premier League that, to be honest, if we get in the top 10, I don't think we will.
Our next 6 games are Fulham, Palace, Leicester, Spurs, Everton, and Ipswich. Every single one of them, apart from Fulham and Palace, are below us.
Probably still. We seem to do better against the teams above us because we do well off the ball. It's like, for me, we should be able to go on a nice run, but we thought Southampton would be easy in it, and it wasn't. You can't trust United. Yeah,
no, I agree. Dylan, what academy player do you think has the most chance of breaking through to the first team next as a first team regular?
A beautiful, beautiful question. I can't sit here and lie. Godwill Kukonki has a big chance. Nice physical profile, 6'5", left foot centre back. They're very, very rare in today's game. A high quality. Mantato is a huge one to watch. I wrote an article about him last year. Perfect right wing back, perfect left wing back. If Shea Lacey can stay fit, he'll be in the team. Seems to be a bit of pushback on Amas due to his physicality at the moment, but again, I don't think anyone doubts Harry Amas's quality. Obviously, Cheeto will break through eventually. Kone, I don't really count Kone as an academy player due to the fact we signed him, but he's obviously in the 21s at the minute. And then Jace Fitzgerald is one I'd watch as well. Jace Fitzgerald is seriously underrated. Such a good player, really nice profile in the midfield. So and there's more as well. I could go on all day, but they're kind of the ones. Ibrahim as well. But yeah, there's a lot to watch out for, and hopefully they all come true. And I hope we don't lose that culture of promoting academy talents, just because we're selling the likes of Garnacho and Rashford, because it does step away from what Manchester United are.
Okay, Alice.
I basically would have listed all the same players that you know. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, Obi Martin and Kone are the obvious ones they were brought in. But yeah, Mantato, I think, especially with wing backs and him playing, you know, fullback in the academy at times, I think he kind of suits that role he seems quite versatile on both sides. I think the most talented player naturally would be Shea Lacey, but as you touched upon the injury issues, I think he'd suit the 10 role because he can play out wide and he can play 10. One that's a shame because one I really did rate, but he's had injury issues, is Dan Gore, but I think he'll probably I think he's got to that age where it's a little bit later now. And I'm just thinking, you know, obviously you've got when Amorim was watching the under-21s, I think Morehouse had a good game. Jim Fates is doing well. I mean, even Scanlon's doing well. There's so many players that are doing well. There's always one that can surprise you, but Kukonki definitely seems to be the highest rated. I think Obi Martin, they'll give him another year because he's still quite raw. And I think pre-season, I don't expect much between now and the end of the season because I think Amorim will use pre-season to really sort of have a look. I think Collier's come in because he is, 2021? He's not 16. I think, I always say this with academy players, you know, people are calling for Kukonki, but he's 16, maybe 17 now. There's a difference between being 16 and thrown in and even being 18 and thrown in and then being 20 and thrown in. I said the 16, 17-year-olds, let's not put any pressure on. It's when they're 18, that's when maybe they could be thrown in, I always say.
And it's a great one name that Alice mentioned there is actually a brilliant one. Jim Thwaites is ridiculously highly rated inside the club, so he's 100% one to watch. He's really, really good player.
Fine. Next one, David. If we get Patrick Dorgu, lose Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, and Malacia, God, that's a thin squad. Then we're probably only going to sign one more in January. Who would it be? Cunha, probably, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, Yeah,
Okay.
it has to be Cunha. Has to be. Or Brian. I don't mind Brian.
Mbeumo,
Mbeumo.
yeah.
I wasn't going to say a second name there. I was just going to leave Brian for dramatic effect. But yeah,
Because your
Mbeumo
Irish
would be-
accent means you can't say it, yeah.
Mbeumo, yeah, Mbeumo.
Okay. What brand of TV did Ruben smash? It was a Hitachi, I think.
Oh my god.
Come
I
on.
wonder what it was. To be fair, I'd love to know how he smashed that or what
Yeah.
happened. But fair play to him. Look, that type
Needed
of
it.
anger has been needed. Yeah, that type of anger has been needed. I don't condone violence.
Dylan had a question for you before the stream, Alice. Do you remember, Dylan? Yeah, who was crying?
Oh yeah. Do you think any of the players were actually crying, Alice?
I don't know, because the guy that leaked that bit, because Laurie Whitwell didn't mention that, and I think Laurie Whitwell is one of the best sources for United news.
Yeah.
The guy that leaked it is the guy that always tells us so and so's injured, and then the
That
next
is right.
go, that person is injured.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe half the Twitter accounts, half the ITKs, but this guy is put out information on 10, 11 times, and then the Athletic who get briefed confirmed it. I think he's got the same person briefing him that maybe briefed the Athletic, but he maybe likes to put out a bit more information, because he'll put out stories and you're like, oh, I don't know if he's stirring the pot, but then you find out the information's right. I mean, in terms of the player crying, it's hard to tell. I mean, if I was to guess, I'd say, someone like a garnacho, maybe.
That's what I
said that.
I was to guess, but it's difficult, really. I mean, like, some players didn't have a good game, and Nana might just cry because of how bad of a game he had. But I feel like Garnacho seems to be affected a lot by what's said to him.
That's probably a fair one. Maybe Onana kind of making up for his mistake and being demoralised after his mistake. That actually is a very good shout, because he does seem to wear his heart on his sleeve, Onana, and mistakes like that will definitely drag him down.
Matt said Anthony as well. Anthony's prone to a good cry. But okay, fine. Look, we'll I think we're going to leave it there. Alice, thank you so much for coming on again. It's always a pleasure to have you on. If you don't already, please go and follow Alice on Twitter. Go and subscribe to her YouTube. Alice Talks Footy on all platforms.
Yeah, Alice Talks Footy on all platforms.
There you go. Go and follow Alice. If you follow Attacking Football and you follow Dylan and I, you will notice that I've had probably 1,000 hate comments over the last few days about my defense of Marcus Rashford. I challenged somebody to come on the podcast and debate it with me. Somebody's taken up that challenge. So next week, live on YouTube on Wednesday, we will have me versus a follower on Marcus Rashford. So make sure you tune in for that. Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Dylan, thanks for joining us. Take care.
See you later. Cheers.